Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to get into something pretty interesting. We're diving into this whole idea of experiences versus possessions, and whether experiences might actually be more valuable than all the stuff we seem to collect over a lifetime.
This is such a fascinating concept to unpack, especially in a world that's constantly telling us to buy, buy, buy. Like you need a new phone, you need new clothes, you need new everything. But does any of that really lead to lasting happiness?
It makes you think, doesn't it? Like,
Ugh.
I'm thinking about all the times I was convinced I needed the latest whatever it was, and then it just kind of sat there.
Right. And this really gets to the heart of consumer psychology. The satisfaction we derive from material things, it tends to be pretty fleeting. Like, think about it. You buy something new, the excitement fades away.
It's so true. It's like you're on a treadmill and you have to keep getting the next thing just to feel that same little burst of happiness.
Yeah, it's called hedonic adaptation, and it's this phenomenon where our brains adjust to new possessions and the initial thrill wears off. So we're left wanting more, searching for the next thing to fill that void. But what if there was a more sustainable path to feeling fulfilled?
That's where I think experiences come in. They seem to have this lasting impact that physical things don't. I mean, think about like a concert that totally blew you away or a trip that completely changed how you see the world. Those memories stick with us.
Exactly. Experiences engage us on so many levels. They involve our senses and our emotions, they build anticipation, and then they become these stories that we weave into our lives. Researchers even talk about emotional wealth, which is all about how these experiences shape us and add to our overall well-being.
And when you share those experiences with other people, it's like you're creating something together. It's like a much deeper connection than just, handing someone a gift card.
Absolutely. Shared experiences, those create lasting memories. They build stronger bonds. They remind us that connecting with other people is way more valuable than any object could ever be.
I think this ties into the whole minimalism movement, too. It's not just about keeping your house tidy. It's about recognizing that owning less stuff can actually create more space in your life for what really matters.
It's about recognizing that owning less stuff can actually create more freedom in our lives, both
Yeah.
physically and mentally.
Yeah, it's like instead of stressing about getting the newest gadget, what if we invested that energy into planning a weekend trip or maybe taking a cooking class with friends? It just feels like a more fulfilling way to use your time and energy and money.
And there's even scientific evidence to back up this idea that experiences can actually create a deeper, more lasting kind of happiness than material things.
Really? I'd love to hear more about that.
So studies have shown that experiences activate the reward system in our brains in a unique way. Like when we anticipate an experience, our brains release dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter that's associated with pleasure and motivation. But here's the fascinating part. We get another dopamine hit when we remember the experience. It's like a double dose of happiness. And that doesn't happen in the same way with material possessions.
So it's like we're getting to relive those positive feelings. It makes you wonder if maybe we're missing out on a whole lot of happiness by focusing so much on buying things.
And that brings up a question. How can we consciously make a shift to prioritize experiences in our lives? Maybe we could start by examining our habits and asking ourselves whether our spending aligns with what truly brings us joy.
It's about being more mindful, I guess. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about making choices that actually reflect what we value.
It's about consciously choosing to invest in experiences that align with our values and bring lasting fulfillment.
This has been so eye-opening. So we've talked about how consumerism kind of preys on this desire for happiness through things. But as we've seen, those feelings are often fleeting thanks to that hedonic adaptation.
We've also explored how experiences, especially shared ones, contribute to a deeper sense of connection and fulfillment. And we even touched on how neuroscience backs up this idea that experiences can actually create a longer lasting kind of happiness.
This is definitely giving me a lot to think about. I think we need to dig a little deeper into some practical ways we can actually apply these ideas.
It's interesting to consider how we can move away from that constant pursuit of more stuff and instead focus on creating experiences that genuinely enrich our lives.
Yeah, that brings up a really practical question, like how do we actually prioritize experiences when our culture is so geared towards buying things?
It definitely takes a conscious effort. It's about shifting our mindset and our habits. Like instead of automatically reaching for our wallets every time we feel like we want something new, maybe we could pause and ask ourselves, is this purchase actually going to add value to my life? Or is it just going to end up being clutter?
So it's about being more intentional. It's not necessarily about deprivation. It's more about aligning our spending with what we truly value.
Exactly. Like, instead of spending money on things that'll probably just end up collecting dust,
Hmm.
maybe we can redirect those funds towards experiences that create lasting memories.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like setting aside a portion of your budget specifically for experiences in the same way you might for savings or bills.
Right. It could be for travel, it could be for learning a new skill or going to a concert or even just hosting a gathering for your friends and family. The point is to make experiences a priority, make them a conscious investment in your own well-being.
And this brings us back to something we talked about earlier, the power of shared experiences. It's like when we share those moments with other people, it creates this bond that goes beyond just giving a material gift.
Shared experiences, they help us connect with people on a deeper level. We're creating these shared memories, we're laughing together, we're building this sense of camaraderie that strengthens our relationships. It's about fostering genuine connection, not just exchanging objects.
It's like that saying, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think experiences have that power to create those lasting feelings of joy and connection.
Speaking of making people feel special, maybe one of the most impactful ways to integrate this whole idea of experiences into our lives is by rethinking how we approach gift giving.
It's so ingrained in our culture to give gifts for every occasion, but sometimes it can feel a little impersonal, like it's more about just buying the right thing.
Instead of automatically reaching for a gift card or the latest gadget, what if we challenged ourselves to think more creatively? Like, what experiences would truly bring joy to the people we care about?
It could be anything from a weekend getaway to tickets to a concert or even a cooking class where you get to learn something new and have fun together.
Right. It's really about the thoughtfulness behind the gift. Even something as simple as a handwritten letter or a photo album filled with memories or a piece of art you made yourself, those can convey so much more meaning than anything you could buy in a store.
It's about showing someone you care by putting in the time and effort and thought into creating something special. And it ties back to this whole idea that experiences, especially shared ones, create a different kind of value than material possessions.
And let's not forget the power of gratitude. Taking the time to appreciate the experiences we've already had, both big and small, that can really help us shift our perspective from what we lack to what we have.
Gratitude is so powerful. It helps us appreciate all those little joys in life, all those moments of beauty and connection that we might overlook when we're caught up in wanting more.
It's about savoring a delicious meal or enjoying a beautiful sunset or having a meaningful conversation with a loved one. It's a reminder that true happiness isn't about accumulating things, it's about experiencing life fully.
This deep dive is really making me reflect on my own priorities. It's not about giving up all material possessions, of course, but it's about finding a balance that allows for a more fulfilling life.
You got it. It's about recognizing that true wealth isn't measured by what you own. It's about the memories you create, the connections you build, and the experiences that shape who you are as a person.
So before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this provocative question. What if we reimagined our whole cultural obsession with giving physical gifts and saw it as an opportunity for something much deeper, like a chance to create genuine connection?
That's a really interesting question. It really challenges us to examine why we give gifts in the first place. Are we just going through the motions? Or are we truly trying to connect with people on a deeper level?
Like maybe instead of focusing on the material object, we could shift our focus to experiences that create shared memories and strengthen the bonds between us.
Imagine a world where gifts were less about things and more about creating these moments of joy and connection and shared adventures.
It would be a world where we truly value experiences over possessions, where memories are more precious than trinkets, and where relationships are nurtured through shared moments rather than material exchanges.
That's a beautiful vision. A world where we focus on creating a legacy of love and laughter and connection that goes beyond the temporary nature of material things.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this question. What if, instead of striving for more and more stuff, we shifted our focus to appreciating what we already have and creating experiences that bring us genuine happiness and fulfillment?
It's a powerful shift in perspective, one that can lead to a much more meaningful and enriching life.
Well, this deep dive has certainly encouraged me to question my assumptions about happiness and to really embrace the power of experiences.
And remember, the most valuable things in life aren't things at all. They're the memories we create, the connections we forge, and the impact we have on the world around us. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Deep Thoughts Podcast. I hope you found insights and inspiration to take with you on your journey of self-growth. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated on new releases and exclusive content. See you next time, where we'll continue to help you grow and explore your full potential.